What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James in the house, man. I know you heard that beat. I know you heard that beat. Thought I'd switch it up just a little bit. I, I like having that beat on the opening when I go live, but I wasn't gonna go live today. I got some stuff going on, but I still want to drop a quick video for everybody out there because of the recent signing of Jayron Kearse. I think a lot of us have been waiting for that. A lot of the Cowboys Nation been waiting for it. I know a lot of people are going live talking about right now, probably as I speak about it. But I will say I am happy about that signing. Um, we already know what it is. Cowboys are going to stay true to what they are going to do. They're going to go hard in this draft. Hopefully, you got uh, picks. Four picks in the fifth round. Two compensatory, one brought over from Amari Cooper trade. So you got four, so you can really will and deal. And if you are the draft guys and you're probably not going to keep those fifth rounders. This is your time to really go hard in the draft for another year. They've had two really good drafts under Mike McCarthy. Free agency of signing their own, low cost, effective free agent signings is what they're staying true to. Stephen Baby Nuts Jones is. So we can look at this right here. Jayron Kearse brought back in the fold. And I think a lot of people are excited about this is because let's see what they said about it. Let's see what the numbers was talking about right quick before I talk people's head off, whatever. Do, 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 do. So here we go. There is at least one more slice of the proverbial pie that is being served, though, and at long last, Kearse is getting a chance to eat. Jayron Kearse is returning to the Cowboys. You see Michael Gelkin said it, Calvin Watkins. Here are some numbers if you want to look at them. Jayron Kearse agrees to terms with the Cowboys. A source said on a 2-year deal with a base salary of $10 million in 2022 that can reach to $11 million in incentives. This is one of the biggest things on the Dallas Cowboys to-do list this offseason. So to then see them knock it out is a huge sigh of relief. It's starting to feel like they wouldn't as more and more time wore on. Dan Quinn seemed to get the most out of Kearse during his first year together, and they will thankfully have more. So, shout out to, and there's a little grade right there. I mean, heck, there's a grade right there. What would you give the grade? What would you give the grade of bringing back Jayron Kearse? If you're going to ask me, I'm going to say that's definitely a solid B, B plus. Definitely a B plus. Could be almost an A, not because he's like the all-world safety, is because what he brings to the table with this Cowboys defense. So I'm gonna give it a high B plus in my opinion. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think about the signing after this video is done. So let's go to a couple other things right here. Let's go to some stats. I like stats. And one of the reasons why you're excited about Jayron Kearse coming back in the fold is what he did. Shout out to Boss Cowboys and even Professor. A few people out there in them streets was calling up for this Kearse. Watch for this signing. It's a slept-on signing. This guy, just because he didn't do it at these other teams, don't mean he don't have it in him. I'm gonna give 100% shout outs to Boss Cowboys on that one because he called this, and that's what we talked about. I remember when we did a video when we were talking about the free agent signings and the free agent guys that were coming over. When we brought up Kearse, me and Boss Cowboys specifically talked about Kearse, and one of the things that he said was that just because he didn't do it over there doesn't mean he can't do it. I like him. I think he's going to turn up. Me, I was like, I like him. I like his ability. I like him playing in the box. I like his size, 6'4", 215, 220 pounds, and he plays to it. That's one of the things I really liked about him. I was a little worried about his coverage. That's one thing that I highlighted to Boss that I didn't think he was great in coverage. Boss said, hey, man, he could cover these tight ends. Yeah. I said, we'll see. And I didn't know with this regime were they really going to give him a chance to really do anything because we've seen so many times how the favorites get played up in there. So I didn't think he was going to make the cut because of those factors. Proven wrong. Definitely feeling good proven wrong on this one. But as we look at his career, he was a godsend this year. But the thing that you really want to get excited about with Kearse, even though you won't say he's like a difference-making safety, he's a good safety, and I like his attitude. If you look at it, I follow him on Twitter, man. He's passionate. He's a passionate dude. I I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me. Why I like Kearse. He's passionate. I like those type of players. I like those type of players have a chip on their shoulder. Feel like maybe they should have been more when they were coming out. I think he was a 7-round draft pick. Didn't really get a chance, as you see in Minnesota. Did get a chance at all in those 3 years. Played in all those games. Was probably more of a special teams guy. And then you saw actually 5. He got a little bit of tick at some free safety. Started 3 games. You see the numbers. See, this is what I want to. This is what I am showing in my head. When he goes to Denver, and he played 11 games, and he started 7 of them. Look, the more playing time he gets, the better he gets. So that's what I think I really like about Kearse as well. When he gets the playing time, one of those guys that he's sitting on the bench like, hey, man, just give me the time and I'll go out there and do it. He's that dude, man. If y'all can't do it, I'll do it. I think that's why he gravitated, because we haven't had that doggish attitude from the defense, and he brought that. He could cover tight ends. I love the way he blitzed. Like I said, 59 tackles in Detroit, and you saw when he came with Dallas. 16 games, started 15, had an interception, had a sack, 101 tackles, awesome. I like that tackle for loss, 9 of those, 6 QB hits. And then when we scroll down a little bit, sorry if that's in the way, I mean, wasn't too bad in coverage. You know what I'm saying? And here's another thing that stood out in my eyes. Let me move this over right quick. Move this over right quick. This is the thing that stood out in my eyes is the missed tackles. When you look at 101 tackles and you only miss 4 tackles, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So that means that dude, and they sent him on nice blitzes. He was wrapping up QB knockdowns, just across the board, man. 61% in coverage, not bad considering. A 77 rating, definitely can get better, and he will, I believe, under Quinn. 27 years old, not super old, and you got a 2-year deal. We know how those work. You feel me? We know how they do in the Cowboys land. So from that aspect, I mean, this was a great re-signing. Let's go over here, and let's look at the signings that the Cowboys have done so far. They have stayed, once again, true to their own, signing their own, not going outside that box. They have got Dante Fowler. They have got James Washington from Pittsburgh, Dante Fowler from Atlanta. But let's go through here. And you guys have already seen it, but let me make sure it's up. And we'll show this because, like I said, I love Todd Archer. There we go. Sorry. Okay. So here we go. So let's get to it, and we'll just go over it and hash out it again. Right now. So Michael Gallup, this is free agency so far with Dallas. Um, Staying true to their own. You know, can't really get upset and mad about it because we know this is what it is. You lost Amari Cooper. You lost Randy Gregory. This is who you brought back in the fold. You brought Michael Gallup back. We're not mad at that because, you know, Michael Gallup, we all love Michael Gallup. How can you not? And he is a good player. You worry about the injuries, on that front. So hopefully he can come back. And, saying that he could be back week 1, I don't think that's going to be true. But you never know what happened with medicine. People didn't think Adrian Peterson was going to come back as quick as he did, and then he came back and ran for 2,000 yards. So anything is possible. So I'm going to look at the positives on this. So, I'm cool with Michael Gallup. I like him. It's really essentially a 2-year deal, so you can see after 2 years what it is, and you can still draft a couple of receivers. So you're not mad at that. Jake McQuaid, long snapper, nothing really to say about that. But the good thing about it is if you're never talking about the long snapper, that's a good thing. We remember LP Ladashore, who was there for 800 years, but now You got Jake McQuaid, and we didn't hear about him, so that's a good thing. Now, we already talked about this in prior shows. There's minimal risk in all these signings, okay? Every one of these signings is minimal risk, so it's still the conservative way. We're not mad at the players you brought back because it brings back this defense in the fold, but the conservative way will never get you over the hump. And these coaches are going to have to coach out their mind this year to really get Dallas to where they want to go. So you brought DeMarcus Lawrence back. That's a good deal. 3-year guaranteed, $30 million. And he reworked the cap. You know what Stephen Jones likes to do. So he reworked the cap, freed up money. You were able to bring back these guys. And Cowboys, he is a defensive leader. We saw what he did. He's got to stay healthy, though, because he was hurt once again. He missed 10 games, played 7 games, but we saw the impact he had when you had all those guys together, Micah Parsons, the Golstons, the whole defense. You saw what he does, and he brings an attitude to the defense. So, okay, that's good. Malik Hooker, this was one of my favorite signings because I like Malik Hooker, always liked him. I got to see him here at Ohio State, so was never mad at that. Shout out to Tyrone Church because he was calling for him forever before people was even talking about. So shout out to you, Tyrone Church, for calling him. He brought him to. His words of positivity brought him. But a 2-year deal, once again, not a lot of risk. We don't even have to talk about this because Stephen Jones, Baby Nuts Jones, ain't taking no risk. But as we said before, these are good players with the Cowboys, and Malik Hooker was a good signing. A lot of us wanted Malik Hooker before that, so they got him on a 2-year deal. You showed he was healthy. He's only 26 years old, good size. You see in the notes right here. I've already read them before. Don't want to read them again, but you already see the notes. Boom. Jeremy Sprinkle, good blocking tight end. You're losing Blake Jarwin. Dalton Schultz is probably going to be your number one guy. Jeremy Sprinkle, he's a good blocking tight end. Sean McKeon already told you about. Maybe you can get a tight end later. Once again, not a lot of risk. But as you said, this is what we were doing. Dorrance Armstrong Jr., you brought him back, 2-year deal. Dorrance Armstrong had a career year, 5 sacks, career high across the board. People were waiting for Dorrance Armstrong Jr. to step up, and he did. So you can't get mad at that, and he can play multiple positions for you. And he's young. So, and you got the other pass rusher in Dante Fowler, so this doesn't have to have the pressure on him to be the guy. You may bring in one more person. Talk has been about Jason Pierre-Paul. There might be interest. That could definitely be a good one. I would like. I don't think it fell off. I just think he had an injury, which he had a torn labrum. So that would be something good. And he didn't take a lot of risk. LVE, people didn't like that. But for only a 1-year deal, for somebody who knows the system, who's only 25, 26 years old, and can hold the fort down for a year, got better at the end of the year, maybe you can get another big defensive tackle to help him. I don't think that's bad. He's got a good relationship with the team. So I don't think that's a bad sign, especially if you only did it for 1 year. You could, after the next year, if he doesn't do anything, you don't owe him anything, and then you're still drafting a linebacker in this draft this year. You can still draft a impactful linebacker, and you got Jabril Cox coming back in the fold. Not bad. We already talked about James Washington, third receiver. Cedric Wilson's gone. He can slide into it. Good speed. Never was the guy that really stepped up to that number 2 draft status. But, hey, you didn't spend a lot of money. And like you said, he can compete in that receiver room, but you can still draft a couple really good receivers in the draft. And we'll see about that. Dante Fowler, a lot of people think he can have his career resurrected in Dallas. Well, dealing with Dan Quinn because he wasn't with them in Atlanta for a long period of time because Dan Quinn got fired. Now Dan Quinn has got his hand on nothing but the defense, nothing but that magic. And when you see what he's done with these other players, we just talked about Jayron Kearse and what he brought to the table. People think he may be the defensive whisperer. So when you seeing these players that are coming back in the fold, especially with the defense, you saw a lot of defense coming back. DeMarcus Lawrence, Jayron Kearse now, Malik Hooker, Dorrance Armstrong Jr., LVE. These are all the components that were pretty much here. You lost a Randy Gregory, but they did sign them. And if they get a Pierre-Paul, and they're still going to probably draft a defensive end, you pretty much have your whole defensive intact. And you still have Donovan Wilson back there on the back end. You still got Mukamu. You still got Nashawn Wright. Kelvin Joseph can take up to the next step and be the starting corner. Anthony Brown could be your slot. I thought he played better in the slot. You still can draft a couple corners or corner in the draft and maybe get an undrafted guy. You got your safeties. Maybe you can still get one later in the drafts. So this is what the way it did on the picks, on the way I'm going to give them credit on this. The way they kept everybody on defense and you didn't spend a lot of money to keep everybody on defense, keeps the whole defense intact. So you can really attack the draft once again. And you got 9 picks, I believe, this year. You can wheel and deal. You lost an offensive piece in Amari Cooper. Yes, that hurts, but you still have a CeeDee Lamb who can step into that number 1 role. You can definitely draft a high-impact receiver, get you maybe a starting offensive lineman. You lost a La'el Collins, but you have a Terrence Steele. You have a Josh Ball, who's a big left tackle, 6'8", 310 pounds, big left tackle. Matt Faranock, you know what I mean? You still have a Connor McGovern, who you can see what he can do, but you definitely can draft your starting possibly left guard. And the cupboard isn't bare. You're bringing a tight end back who you have a rapport with Dallas, and he got better. So when you look at it from afar, if you're a Cowboys fan, yes, we already know what Baby Nuts Jones does. We know that. We know the Cowboys way. We understand it. Okay? So there's no need for us to beat it up every single day because we already know the Cowboys way. I'm not getting hyped, but what I will say is if you're looking at how they doing the team, they did it right as far as the defense, not spending a lot of money, and you can really attack the draft and still build on this defense. So it can be even better in the draft, and you can really get this offense back explosive. You're not going to have a Amari Cooper, but you can definitely get one of these explosive receivers or two to really take you from, dang, what happened to our receivers to, okay, the receiver room is looking real good if you get, I know they like Treylon Burks. I think he's a game-time player. People talking about his speed, but I think he's a game-time player. So he's like a Dez, not in the fact of, I mean, he didn't run a great 40 like Dez did, but he could be one of the players once he gets on the field, he's an animal. And then you can still get a second receiver who has a lot of speed. So you not out in a bad position if you're looking at it. Yes, I feel like you still need a 2 difference makers or a 1 difference maker to really get you over the hump, to really say, man, okay, yeah, that could be the Bobby Wagner. I said that was the shut-up signing. I said, are the Cowboys done in free agency? Let me know in the comments. Are they done? Could Bobby Wagner be the last piece where Steven Baby Nuts Jones puts the bow on and says, shut up, y'all. Here you go. You got Bobby Wagner. The whole defense is intact. You got Wagner, who is with Quinn. He could wear the green dot. We could draft some guys on the offensive end, and they're going to pump it to us. So what the coaches are going to have to do to prove to us Cowboys fans, because it wasn't bad, because you didn't lose crazy amount of players, and you still kept that defense intact. And you know I'm a defensive guy, and you brought your defensive coach back. So me being a Cowboys fan, I'm happy that Dan Quinn is back because now I'm all about defense, and you brought the whole pretty much defense back. So I don't feel bad about that because that defense is going to keep you in games, and you can draft. So from that aspect, don't feel too bad from me. We already know what it is. Cowboys still have to prove it on the field. So we ain't jumping up and down and doing cartwheels, but we will say this can't be terrible for what they did, for what we know they're going to do. So those are my 2 cents on it. You know, my big game, James. Go check me out. Facebook, YouTube, become a follower. We really appreciate everything we done. All my peoples out there on YouTube, we at 12K. We want to hit that 15K by the season. We at 20K on the Facebook. And we really appreciate everything you've done for us.